everybody, welcome to the Reboot. I'm Brad Ehrlich. This is a show where we have 3 producers in here to pitch us ideas on how to reboot either a famous flop or a beloved film that we're gonna bring back and ruin for your childhood's sake. Our producers today are Asher Coffield, Amir Nikoui, and John Iadarola. And the movie that we have chosen, we're gonna talk about it for a little bit, is Home Alone. It is the 1990 film directed by Chris Columbus and introducing Macaulay Culkin to all of us to love and admire. Take a look.
Do we set the timers on the lights?
Mm-hmm.
Did you lock up?
Yeah,
Did you close the garage?
that's it. I forgot to close the garage, that's it.
No, that's not it.
What else can we be forgetting?
Kevin! This is my house. I have to defend it. Yes! Up here, you morons! Come and get me!
So I watched the crap out of this film when I was a
love this
kid.
movie. I watch it like twice a year.
Twice
It's
a
one of
year?
the
Yeah.
best Christmas movies I think ever.
Is there any better Christmas movie besides Die Hard?
True.
Yeah, that's fine too. The Christmas Story or something like
This
that.
and
but
Die
yeah,
Hard,
that's
I'd say, are like top two.
But
Yeah.
this has the music.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
really get into the feel for it, and it's about sort of fun and discovery
Yeah.
as a kid. Like it has that Christmas feel.
Yeah, Asher,
Yeah.
what place does it take in your Christmas heart?
It honestly wasn't a Christmas movie for me. It was an all year round movie. Like it was never like it's Christmas, bust out, Home Alone. It was I'm watching it once a month. And my brother and I even came up with like elaborate exit plans for our houses so
right.
we
My
could
God, I love that.
escape from criminals just in case or fires or whatever.
Did you draw it like on like
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I did once do the thing where we had a rope from a tree down across the yard, and we used bike handles to
it
go
work?
down. No.
Did you
No.
do it?
No, I mean, look, it
can't-
immediately collapsed the entire thing, but not in a way that we hurt ourselves. It just did not work. And it was
Okay,
not
good.
glamorous at all.
But yeah, that's definitely part of it, is that feeling that you yourself can foil the plans of criminals, even though that is the worst message to send to kids.
Yeah.
Kids thinking that this is one of
true.
those that you can't rewatch with a mind for 2017. That will be one of the challenges facing you guys, because like how do you get it past the Motion Picture Rating Association and all the parents?
That
was a problem for me.
There was like a gap of a couple years where I hadn't seen it, and I recently watched it, I think last Christmas. And just the beginning with the family and the way they talk to Kevin is almost unwatchable.
I know,
It's
it's
borderline child abuse.
Yeah.
It made me really bummed out. I don't know.
you little twerp.
You little jerk.
Oh, jerk, yeah.
Highlights for me, Buzz,
Yeah.
your girlfriend, my fiance, still just will randomly see something and just go, woof.
Yes.
Like not a person necessarily, but just anything, like a gross looking plate of
dog.
food,
So
she'll
good.
just be like, woof.
Yeah.
The film went on to spawn not 1, not 2, not 3 spin-offs, but 4. So there's Home Alone 1, 2, 3, and 4, plus like another one I found that was like Home Alone, a Christmas experience or a holiday journey or something like that. The movies, I have it here, the movies had an overall budget 1 through 3 anyways, of $70 million. According to the Wikipedia entry, and then the box office total is $914 million.
For the first 3.
For the first 3, nearly $1 billion. So amazing, and it's really great. So I want to hear what you guys have pitched for the viewing audience today. Asher, you do the honors. Begin.
All right. Well, because I feel like I don't know as many kids now that watch Home Alone, so I feel like the people who are really big fans of it kind of grew up with it. So I wanted to make something more for that audience, the audience that watched Home Alone when they were younger and grew up. This one's based off of the 5th Home Alone movie. I'm just kidding. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to do an origin story of Harry and Marv. So it would be called How Harry Met Marv.
Wow.
And it takes place in New York, and it follows Harry, who was played by Joe Pesci in the original, and he is the son and now kind of apprentice of a mob boss, and he's trying to enter into the family and enter into the family business. And he's really, really bad at it, laughably bad, and is shunned by the family, basically is kicked out. And so he tries to live a life of crime on his own, ends up in jail, and that's where he meets Marv. They decide to kind of team up together and go against the mob family, and it ends so bad and people start to die in laughable ways. So they have to flee New York and flee this mob family, and they kind of embark on a life of crime on the road. So definitely more of an adult comedy, but still with the sort of hijinks of Home Alone, and really just kind of playing up their characters, because I think they're the best parts in the movie, other than all of the ridiculous ways that Kevin is able to thwart the criminals. So it kind of follows their journey from New York and eventually into Chicago. It's where kind of like suburbs of Chicago. So it would take place in like the mid to late 70s. I see it's like a Goodfellas meets Some Like It Hot meets Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. And with that, I saw it being directed.
Will there be cross-dressing as there was in Some Like It Hot?
Yeah, probably not as much, but definitely the same sort of ridiculousness of escaping the mob.
Gotcha.
I saw it as like a Shane Black, who actually did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and The Nice Guys. So I saw Harry is being played by Charlie Day, Marv, T.J. Miller.
So right.
That's good.
That's so good.
Yeah.
The Mob Boss by Ray Liotta, to really make him look like a John Gotti type of character. With a cameo by Bobby Monahan as Gus Polinski as the polka band leader.
Just
like to reprise that John Candy character. So that's sort of, so a fun adult origin story of Harry and Marv.
Got it.
I had in mind. Yeah.
Really love it.
Awesome.
Really love it. All right, Amir, that's some tough act to follow.
It's tough. So I'm a little like Asher in that like I wanted to make a reboot for the people that grew up watching the first Home Alone. So it's gonna be a little bit more edgy in that respect and like content-wise. So I'm thinking like either like a Chris Columbus would come back and direct this, or maybe James Gunn or Paul Feig. Think movies like Spy and whatever, like that's kind of the tone that I wanna do it. So anyway, the movie would pick up around 30 years after the original movie. Kevin is now an adult and he's the CEO of a cybersecurity company. Which makes sense, like, the engineering and everything does make sense.
That's so great.
And he lives,
he took his passion.
Yeah, huge house, big mansion that's completely operated by tech and what have you.
Smart house.
So he has 3 kids. 2 of them are older twins that are super annoying, kind of like Buzz and the rest of his family.
Double Buzz.
Yeah, and then a younger daughter that's kind of ignored all the time, even though she's somewhat of like a tech prodigy. But still no one listens to her, so it's basically Macaulay Culkin back in the day. Anyway, it's Christmas time and there's a whole family trip to go to Chicago. The kids are supposed to go on a plane by themselves and meet the parents there later. And Kevin's always working, so he had to run back to his office and to his company and get to work while the kids were supposed to go to the airport. So as usual, there's a whole airport rush scene and the kids get separated and somehow the girl, she gets left behind while the 2 twins are on the plane. Anyway, she can take care of herself really well, so she finds a way to get back home using Uber, whatever. And she's at home all alone, except instead of being excited to be at home alone, she's completely bored. She has everything at her fingertips. Like we have all this technology now. It's not like it was in the 90s where like you're home alone and you have all these fun things to do the whole time. So she's kind of like sitting around and someone starts breaking in, or so she thinks, and she ends up running into Kevin. He hasn't gone yet. So as all this is happening on the background, there's kind of in the news, like there's like some cyber terrorism scares going on and all these things happening. Like I'm thinking like the DNC hacks, these things are all like tied up in
Topical
there.
political.
Yes, topical political, very much.
Topical
very
political
much.
stuff. It's like kind of like in the background, but you don't know how it's connected. Anyway, Kevin's like, all right, we'll go to Chicago together. I need to do some work. Let me run back to the office and then when I come back, we can all go. So he runs back to the office And this is the part where people start infiltrating Kevin's mansion, thinking that everyone's gone except his daughter is still there. So while that's happening, Kevin's in his office and he gets stuck and trapped in his own office with the same criminals. And you don't know really who
they're
they
breaking
are.
into both.
Yeah. So the people that I had in mind for the hackers were like a kind of like Zach Galifianakis in the role of like Joe Pesci, maybe like Adam Driver, Ellen Page, Dev Patel, like these hacker types. And they're there to like steal some proprietary information, maybe like a backdoor into everyone's iPhone. I don't know, just something big like that.
That sounds exactly what it would be in a film, like in one of these comedies. It's like a backdoor into the iPhone.
Yeah. So pretty much it's Kevin on one side trying to escape from his own company, which he's trapped in, and on the other side, his daughter using all this technology in the house against these criminals that are trying to get in there. And eventually they'll come together and maybe help each other, or the daughter will end up saving Kevin, whatever. And of course, like you find out, because his daughter is like a genius hacker, that these people are connected to the Russians, because come on, they have
obviously it's two generations of the same family. They're meeting with the Russians. Okay, so we've got a prequel, we've got down the line. What do you have, John?
So I want something. I realize a lot of kids probably don't grow up watching Home Alone, and a lot of adults did and want something maybe tied in. So I want something that is going to give the same sort of feeling to the adults watching it now, remind them of how they felt watching Home Alone growing up, but also to present it in a modern way for a younger audience. But like Amir was saying, I want to sort of dial up some of the elements, and especially the aloneness, because he was alone in the house, but he was also surrounded by people, and there are so many plot holes in that original movie. Why he didn't go to any of the neighbors, why he didn't talk to them, all that stuff made no sense. But in my version, it's gonna make sense. So we're in the modern day, and we're in a small coastal retirement community in Florida, and you're going to have a young girl played by Millie Bobby Brown. If she's not available, because I know she's busy, we could go to Gaten Matarazzo from Stranger Things as well. But I would prefer Millie Bobby Brown, who's living with her family in this community and feels like she just hates it because it's all these older retirees and there's nobody really for her to talk to. Then the storm of the century comes and the entire community needs to evacuate out of there.
As you do.
As you do. And then in all of the rush to evacuate, she gets left behind in this retirement community by herself.
Terrifying.
So what you have is a couple of days where the storm doesn't look like it's gonna be that bad, and she gets to just have fun in this evacuated town. The entire town is her playground to use, her family's like various toys and jet ski and break into these houses, break into these stores. She breaks in all these houses of these retired people that she never felt connected to and felt like were rude and weird. But she realizes as she's going through all their stuff that they have these great lives that they lived, and they have this family that they don't have anymore. And so she starts to feel connected to these people even as they're not there anymore. There will be one retiree still there that she comes across, a scary guy, because there always has to be a scary old weirdo.
That neighbor, because old people are terrifying when you're
exactly.
a kid. You don't know why.
I'm thinking Michael Caine could be the old weirdo that she will connect to. And she starts to feel protective of this community. But turns out there were a couple of other people who were retired in this area. It's the original robbers from Home Alone. So if we could get Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, they've moved on from crime, but they stay in this place. They're so old, they don't feel like evacuating, but now there's this whole retired community of people with money. The houses are all empty. Nobody's there to protect these houses, so they decide to get back into the game to rob them. But now Millie Bobby Brown, feeling protective of this entire community, needs to defend not just one house, but a whole community of homes.
That all came together so quickly and so cleanly.
So she needs to set up traps and stuff in all of these different places and run from one to the other and try to stop them. Now they remember what happened to them before, and so one of them will try to be the voice of reason and say, well, look, this girl can only defend this small town. Let's just go to the next one. But the other one is gonna feel like, you know what? We got bested by Macaulay Culkin. We're gonna take this girl down.
This is our last chance. Yes, our whole lives, these children have been sticking it to us.
Yes, but now we can finally have the upper hand. But they probably won't.
Yeah, they won't. Wow, I really like that.
Oh, and by the way, so about the isolation thing, like there's no actual people there, so you don't have the easy out of why doesn't he go to the neighbors. But even once she realizes that the storm is actually coming and things are gonna be bad, she finally does reach out and they do wanna come get her, but the storm is so bad that she needs to survive for one more night.
So far, let's rehash the ideas that we've had so far. We have Asher's prequel, the origin story of Marv and Harry, which I'm really interested in seeing. I really like it. I like the alternative version of it. I like Amir's version because it's like multiple generations. For the first time, you really have like Kevin, who knows what it's like, having to look at his daughter who's going through the same thing, and they come together. I like John in that he has no qualms about pointing out what's wrong with the original. Almost insultingly, killing its memory.
A little bit.
But what I'm going to do right now, I want you guys to take a moment to yourself to think, maybe close your eyes, feel in your heart which one you feel deserves this green light. I think I'm gonna make a multi-picture franchise out of it in this order. I think right now the film that needs to get made is John's. Right now. To get into people's minds that know the original and want to relive it with their generations. I like that. I think with Amir, there's a couple plot things that we still need to hammer out that need to get a little more well-defined. I'm gonna give it to John, but I will greenlight for future development, that prequel in that very Star Wars way where we're building out
the Rogue One of Home Alone.
Yeah, there's gonna be a new like Home Alone area at Disneyland. It's gonna be great.
And in off years you advance the main storyline, but between them you do the little side things.
Yep. Yeah. And we're gonna get the origin story of the scary man from next door.
And the polka band.
Also, how did the toy store get started in Home Alone 2?
Oh,
maybe the origin story of the renovation company that's renovating the uncle's apartment. But John wins this. Congratulations to him. Really,
those are all very good ideas.
But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm always in awe of like the work that goes into these pitches, and I get to selfishly enjoy each of those movies in my head as you pitch them. So thank you for watching, thank these guys, and we'll see you next time on The Reboot.